All right, friends, I'm meteorologist Robert Speta. We have a super Typhoon Uwan now, signal force 5 up for the Bicol region over towards Aurora, parts of Isabela, basically Aurora here. Signal force 4 in place for Bulacan, signal force 4 in place for Quezon and Calabarzon. Goodness gracious, I probably said that wrong. But this is a very large storm system. In fact, this is just a look. Well, now it's refreshing. Storm surge out of Catanduanes. Ralph sent me this in. He's been messaging me out there in Virac, and just some incredible video. Damaging winds taking place there. Storm surge kicking in once those winds shifted in from the south, and we can actually take a look at the Google Maps, and I'll just show you. Let's pull back the picture here. This is actually from earlier today, and basically where this storm system is now, you can see that point right there. That's where the technical low-level center is, just north of Catanduanes. But the winds are large. So right now, San Miguel Bay, we're seeing the winds wrap around in across the Mayan volcano there and wrapping around to Virac in the southern portion of the island. And that's where they're actually seeing kind of the worst of the storm surge coming in from the south as those winds wrap around. And this same kind of message is going to ring true on the west coast of Luzon as this storm nears landfall. But right now it is there. It is tracking northwest at this point. And yeah, we're expecting, that landfall here as we go ahead through this evening. By the way, I am meteorologist Robert Speta. I know a lot of you have been waiting for this live update. Here's the deal. I appreciate you guys waiting. I still have a day job or a night job. I work Saturday nights at a TV station. And yeah, the show doesn't end till 11:30 here where I am on the east coast of the United States. So once that it was over, came straight home, hit go live, and talking to you here. So I'm here to take some of your questions. Let's talk about this and what some of the impacts are. Here's a look, by the way, at some of the timing here. Eastern Visayas already here this morning being impacted. Now we're right about noontime. Virac already seeing some of the worst of the weather there into Catanduanes. Then you see Belair and Central Luzon. The worst of it's probably going to start here in just a few hours. So winds really picking up about 5 to 6 p.m. And then you look at the Cagayan Valley, overnight, it's going to get the worst there. And then you look at like Ilocos on the west coast, that is going to be about 2, 3 in the morning. It starts to pick up. Same here for like Tarlac about just after midnight. And then on the west coast, places like Vigan, there in Ilocos Norte, La Union, all those spots are probably going to be just after sunrise tomorrow morning when you start to see the worst of the weather there. Let's go back to the satellite picture, see a current look of what we got going on out here. And yeah, the eye wall, I think, went through a little bit of an eye wall replacement cycle. Now let's refresh this image right here. I'm going to get into your questions here. I already see the minute I hit stream, and then I was kind of fiddling with some of the other graphics, kind of updating, last-minute updates here. And then I looked at the stream and went, oh my goodness, 300-400 people already watching. The comments just flooded right up. I'm going to get to them in a second, I promise. But just want to make a run-through on some of the latest information. I know that's what you guys got. This is actually a little delayed. It's the microwave imagery, but it shows how this storm system tightened. Look at that. Look at the banding tighten up right prior to landfall. So satellite imagery, infrared, looks a little messy. But if you look at microwave imagery, you can see that core, and it's that core that is bringing the damaging winds, and that's why east coast of Bicol and Catanduanes, watch as that tightens up, and that's where it hit, and that's where the worst of the weather is. So right now, you see there's not a lot of banding. Watch the last few frames. We don't have a lot of these kind of more intense bandings quite yet in around Casiguran, down to Belair, there in Aurora, but it's coming. Look at this. Let's refresh this. So it peaked here at super typhoon intensity. Here's some good news, I guess. Good news is always relative, I suppose. It's not rapidly intensifying anymore. It's kind of reached the peak of as strong as it can get. So it's strengthened a lot, but I don't think it's going to get much stronger than that. I just refreshed this. Looks like the AI model's taking a moment to kind of get back to the latest run. But yeah, Belair, or at least just north of Belair, is where the AI model's taking it. It seems like it's kind of taking a little wobble, a little jog to the north, to be honest with you, in the last few frames. But I don't know. It probably is going to come on shore just right there. And that means those coastal communities between Catanduanes and Belair, right here along the coast, just one like rural road that runs up through here, they're going to take the worst. But I think this storm surge right in here in Belair is really, I mean, I'm already seeing, if you follow Josh Morgerman or James Reynolds, they already been talking about how some of those waves are already crashing on shore. And that's sheltered a little bit. But once those winds come in from the east, these low-lying spots are going to see a bit of a surge here, and I think it's going to be prime for these winds to wrap around from the north here as that kicks on by. And then we're going to talk about the rainfall. Now, good news, you know, the Sierra Madres, they're going to do they're already kind of doing their job, and you can even see here on the mountains. Look at this. The mountains kind of already doing their jobs and stopping some of those initial rain bands. But the problem is, once those rain bands kind of pile up here in the mountains, and you see the Kagan Valley doesn't get a lot of rain. The mountains do, but that still doesn't mean you're out of the woods, because that is going to flow down in the rivers and streams and cause them to rise on top of that. And red level rainfall warnings for sure going to be in place for a lot of those areas. And in fact, this is looking from 8 p.m. tonight to 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. The areas in red indicating over 200 millimeters here across the mountains. Also further down towards the south and even into the NCR, you can see about 50 to maybe 150 millimeters of total rainfall coming from this. So a lot to talk about here. Let's get to some of your questions. I know you got a lot going on, and I'm going to try my best to answer a few of them. Before I go any further, though, big shout out to our Patreon members and also Frontrunner Financial. You can see them right below me here. Big shout out to them as well for always supporting this channel. And yeah, they're fantastic, and I really do appreciate them. All right, so let's get into this, and let's go through a few of your questions, and I'll try my best to answer a few here as well. Okay. Somebody says no actual landfall yet, but yeah, so very near to Catanduanes, but it didn't technically make landfall. So yeah, just something to keep in mind. It didn't technically make landfall, and I put that in quotations because if you were on Catanduanes, you're probably like, what? Bad. It was bad weather out there for you. Let's see. Max winds in Laguna, you know, in Manila. With this further towards the north and ripped apart by the mountains, I would say Manila probably going to see severe tropical storm strength type winds, maybe typhoon gusts, but you're not going to get the core of the storm system. It's really going to be reserved probably closer to like Clark and off towards Pangasinan. By the way, Makati City, a signal because my sister works there. Okay. Cool. Reggie Mark. Yeah, I mean, what do you mean signal? Like, yeah, they still have internet. A lot of these places. Shoot, Belair still has good internet. I've been seeing people post from there. GTWC and Pagasa keeps shifting south. Yeah, Taylor said that. Yeah, but I don't like saying it's shifting south because that is misleading. It's going more northwest than north. But because people say shifting south, and then you're gonna say, "Oh, what about Cebu?" You know, no. Robert, what's the max gust right now? Max gust in the center of the storm, I think, is 230 kilometers per hour, based on the latest update from Pagasa out there. Let's see. Yeah, somebody says Catanduanes is almost getting it almost yearly. Will says, yeah. Mark says, Robert, what happened to you? Okay, I went to work, Mark. I got a job. Yeah. I was gone for like 9 hours because I was at work. Like, I have a day job where I do work as a meteorologist. So this is my part-time gig, I guess, that I do when I'm not at work. But I was still posting. I was around. If you notice, I was uploading videos and check out our shorts. I got a lot of shorts from people that were sending me videos, and I was able to do like between like commercial breaks, putting that stuff out there. So yeah, somebody says, Will also says, get your house prepped. Francis says breezy now in Rizal there as well. So I'm gonna, yeah, there's a few things going on here. All right, hold on. I gotta check something. I wanna do something. All right. I'm going to put on the lo-fi music for a second here. I'm going to try to get some other stuff here. Under Attack says 100K subscribers. Yeah, let's say if you are new to the channel, please subscribe right now. I would like to get up to that 100K subscribers. So that would be a really big thank you. Thank you so much. Robert, we know that Uwan is very massive, but how does it compare to the size of Typhoon Tip in 1979? So here's the deal with Tip. It was a big storm, but it was a big storm in the middle of the ocean. A lot of people always they Tip has gone this like this it's mythical status, but it was only it was only measured because there was typhoon hunters flying inside of it. If you ever look at some of the strongest storms ever in the Western Pacific, even stronger than Yolanda, technically, and I say technically in quotations, they were all in the late 70s and 80s. Were storms stronger in the 70s and 80s? No. It's because Guam had typhoon hunters. There was a recon flying into the storms, measuring the technical center of it. And that's why Tip had that pressure at 870, because I guarantee. So if you look at technical top-rated storms, I don't think even Haiyan is in the top 10. But you know what it is? In like the top 5, like the top 15 or 10? Meggie from 2010, because recon was flying into it. They were doing like research. So I don't like to compare the Tip. Tip is my my sword I will die on. I don't respect that storm. It was a big bad storm. I shouldn't say that, but it peaked in the middle of the ocean, and it's only gotten this mythical status because of recon that flew into it. Kind of interesting. There. Also, is it possible Signal Force 4 in the Cagayan? Clark Kendo says, possible. I think you're probably going to be peak at 3 there, though. Just because. Lero says, I remember you on NHK. Yeah, I used to be on NHK for a while. That's Japan's biggest broadcaster there in Tokyo. A lot of people ask, why is this guy on here? Why does he know so much about the Philippines and Japan and typhoon coverage? It's because I worked on TV in the Western Pacific for the longest time. Now I'm back here, but the thing is, I still have this viewer base out there, so I try to I feel weird just neglecting it and shutting it off. I did for a little while, but like in 2017, I still do this. So many are asking about Rizal. Our Dragonix, that's an interesting name. Says many are asking about Laguna in Rizal. What about Metro Manila? Metro Manila probably going to see severe tropical storm strength winds, and I'm going to get to all that in a second. And also JCR, is it going to shift south? Probably not. Probably not south in the sense what you think. I bet you're out of Cebu or something like that, and you're probably thinking, no, it's not going to impact you. Cebu's probably missed the worst of this. Manila probably could see some severe tropical storm strength winds if there's a slight change, kind of a little bit further to the south. Noob says, Robert, don't you sleep? No. I'm coming up on 24 hours straight of being awake here soon. The adrenaline's pumping. I'm probably going to run this for a couple hours. And at that point, after I get done running this for a couple hours, I will... It gets to the point where there's not much more I can do in these updates, and I have to pass off the streams to, and I'll push you to people like James Reynolds, Earth Uncut TV. He's streaming live. Jordan Hall's out there. Josh Morgan's out there, and the WestPac Weather Facebook page, because we're posting videos that people are sending in. But it does get to the point where I can't really give you more information about the forecast, because this is first and foremost always a streaming channel. So stand by, guys. I'm gonna answer some of your questions here in just a second. I'm just gonna collect a little bit more information here. I just want to jump on because I saw the viewers and I was like, oh my god. So just stand by. Don't go anywhere. Keep watching. I'll be right back. All right, all right, all right. Look, check this out. Oh my goodness. This is out of Kamaligan Carmiranus. I hope I'm saying it right. Jesus. This is from, and this is what they mean by Holy Toledo. It's from the Toledo News right there. Look at that. What? There's a hanging bridge. Oh my goodness. That's what, that's insane. That's a pretty nutty video right there. Just saw that pop up on my feed while I was just trying to grab some new information here. And oh my goodness. Yeah, this storm's got some punch with it. I'll tell you that right now. Once again, if you're joining here right now, I am meteorologist Robert Spetta. Always doing my best to keep you posted and updated on the latest happening out here in the Western Pacific. And today, of course, it is our typhoon. Typhoon Uwan, also known as Fongwang internationally. If you're new to the Western Pacific, a little weird, I know, but we get two names on these, international. And since the Philippines, mad respect to you guys, you get the most typhoons, hurricanes, cyclones, whatever you want to call it, just different basin, same exact storm than everybody else in the world. So you get to name your own storms. That's the way I look at it. I always joke about it. I don't like the double nameage of the storms, but you get that honor because you get, I mean, how many storms have you been hit by this year alone? Jesus. All right. So what's controlling the path of the storm? A lot of people are asking, why isn't it going north? How's the high pressure ridge? There is a high pressure ridge. You can see a little bit of a shear line right in there. And eventually the storm's going to catch that shear line and turn towards the north. And actually, if we look at the latest forecast from the Joint Typhoon Warning Center, you can see that there, and it significantly weakens. Look at this. So it comes on shore as this super typhoon, and then it significantly weakens crossing over the Sierra Madres. Of course, friction is going to knock it down a bit as it exits the west coast, but also shear as it moves towards the north. So that's why I'm not talking a lot about Taiwan, because by the time it gets off there, it's going to be more of a big rainfall threat for our friends out there in Taiwan. Let's take a zoomed in look, though, at the low-level center of this. This is the ECMWF guidance showing that landfall right there. Now, this is showing just north of Belair. I think maybe it would be a little bit south of that, but it's going to be close. I think our storm chasers, we've got a lot of storm chasers out there. They're probably going to be inside that eye as this comes on shore. But once it starts butting up against the mountains, you know, that could edge it a little bit further north and south. But this is another thing I want to point out. Right prior to landfall here this evening, look at this. This is interesting. Worst of the winds in Casiguran, right front quadrant. Yes. But look at the west coast. Interesting. That is the winds ripping in Pangasinan, even all the way out here a little bit towards like Tarlac. I think you're going to be surprised at the winds, and not to mention just the winds, but the storm surge threat as it wraps in from the west here. 2 to 3 meters possibly in Pangasinan there as that wind kicks in from the north. And, you know, 2 to 3 meters, of course, up and down the east coast, you got that storm surge threat. But Pangasinan, actually, the winds are going to kick up. And even into parts of Manila Bay, I believe, here this evening as those winds coming from the due west, even like Cavite City could see a little flooding, especially here where, you know, the peninsula cuts off over towards Kawit. You can see some flooding, and also like around the Mall of Asia, Rojas Boulevard, even out here towards Bulacan, could be looking at a little bit of kind of coastal flooding. A lot of people asking about Laguna Lake here down towards the south, but even Metro Manila, tropical storm strength winds. Due to the storm passing further towards the north, those fears of that core passing right over Metro Manila are misplaced. I mean, let's take a look at Quezon, and this is great because, you know, you can always look at windy, a great graphic to kind of show you the worst of the winds they're showing right now, you know, nearly 100. I think some spots along the coast probably could get about 120 kilometer per hour gust in a few spots there. Like, let's look at Cavite City. This is showing upwards 90 to 100 kilometers per hour there as well. So, you know, right along the coast, definitely could get some good old gust with this. But I think for Manila, the big kind of problem is not even the direct rain that's going to come from this. It's the indirect rain. And Robert, how do you get indirect rain? That seems like you made that up. It is the fact that the mountains are going to get hit with all this rain, and it's going to go somewhere, and it's going to flow down in some of those rivers and streams and everything like that. So it's a multifaceted impacts here coming from it. All right, let's go back to the comment board here. Result can hypothetically get a Signal Force 4? I don't think so. I don't think so. What's up with the hypotheticals? I see this a few people. All right. What's the projected rainfall over Luzon? Like that's a broad question, Ivan. As said, what's the projected rainfall over Luzon? Is it greater than 200? That's a broad question because yes, it is. For parts of the mountains, 400 to 500. For like Manila, 50 to 100. For the Cagayan Valley, might even be less than that. But those higher elevations, oh my goodness. Ooh, hey, check this out. Kathleen says, my husband just said he's God's gift to the Philippines. Oh, your husband said, I am. Oh, that's really nice. I thought your husband was saying he's the God's gift to the Philippines. I'm like, well, your husband, I'm not, goodness gracious. I'm just a guy that's geeking out here, Kathleen. But you did donate just now 1,000 pesos to the channel. Somebody else just donated too, and I accidentally clicked it off. Dr. Emmett Brown, thank you very much. How will Gapan City fare? Oh, I gotta Google that. I'm good with the geography out here, but I ain't that good. I don't know them all. Let me see. Ooh, okay, so you're kind of right in the core then of this storm system. See, the flyover just went over top of you, just south of Tarlac. Probably going to fare okay. Probably going to see typhoon strength gust. Bigger issue in Gapan is going to be the rain, but the good news, you do have one river that kind of flows right through the city right there. But I think you're probably going to miss out on the worst of the weather since you have the Sierra Madres just towards your east there. But still, I would prepare. I wouldn't be worried about that town getting destroyed or anything like that, though. The mountains are really going to kind of help you out. Just a bit there. By the way, big shout out to everybody who's donating. And if you want to donate and help out the channel, my goodness, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. It goes a long way with helping out. Or you can check out our Patreon. Link is down below. Actually, Mitch just donated $10. Thank you very much, brother, for all the updates. Canadian here in La Union with my wife, and seriously appreciate it. So I appreciate you and your assistance here keeping these updates going. Mitch, thank you so much. Love La Union. San Jose. Is that the surf spot there? I've been there before. I actually got some drone shots on this channel from there. Gorgeous area. And is it San Jose? It's the San something. A gorgeous spot. Love La Union. And I do some work with a couple companies out there. Hypothetical typhoon. I think I already answered your question that you put 50,000 question marks on there. So yeah. What are your thoughts on Subic's Bay rain total? Subic probably gonna get, Dave's asking, probably not a lot of rain. Subic's gonna get some good winds coming in from the west though. Those winds are really going to be picking up as that kicks on by. And you actually see that here. Let's take a look at this graphic as it moves overhead. Those winds wrap around from the west. Not a big rainmaker in Subic. Of course, you're going to get rain. But I think more so those winds by tonight, overnight, those winds are going to rip in from the west from Subic and Pangasinan and like even out towards like San Fernando and La Union areas there, all up and down the west coast tonight. Subic's probably going to see tropical storm strength winds. You're not really going to get the worst of it there. So yeah, let's see, Pampanga, Sir Robert. What about there? Well, let's take a look. I'm gonna get a little specific here for you, because you're a little bit closer to NCR. You're actually probably Angeles in that entire area, probably in the best case scenario. But that's bad to say. It's not the best case scenario. That's a silly thing to say. I'm sorry, guys. But as far as people getting impacted out here, because you're going to get those winds coming in from the north. And I think, for like I mentioned earlier, oops, wrong screen. I'm moving this screen and not that screen. As I mentioned earlier, those winds are going to start to rip in from the north across Pangasinan. And I do think you're going to get some funneling kind of kicking down this way. But you're not getting the worst of the rain. You're not getting the worst of the surge. You're not in any really flood-prone spots right there. Yeah, you're probably going to see some tropical storms, severe tropical storm strength winds, enough to maybe knock down some coconut trees and stuff like that. Which, by the way, a hidden danger. Oh, my goodness. It's amazing how many people really get hit by coconuts out here. Like I see that in all seriousness. It's sometimes, my goodness. I want to check something. I'm gonna get to more of your questions here in just a second, guys. I'm just you're watching my brain work here. My brain and being awake for 24 hours and fueled by caffeine. I got some images coming out of Catanduanes. Let me see. This is out of Virac and Catanduanes, which everybody's asking about the forecast, but I do want to talk about them real quick here. They got some pretty decent surge. Whoa, look at that. It's the first I'm seeing this. Lex from Westpac Weather, by the way. Let's everybody give him a shout. Him, Matthew, Clark, Marco, Roman, everybody who's been posting on our Westpac Weather Facebook page. A lot of these posts are not coming from me. They're coming from them, and they share out some just incredible images. And this is Catanduanes. They got that. This is what it looked like earlier in the core of this storm. A few people were sending me these images, and I was like, whew. I appreciate you guys sending these images. Make sure you always take them inside in a sheltered spot. I do not want to be responsible for somebody getting hurt because they were trying to get a video. And that goes just in general. Don't put yourself in harm's way to get a video of these storms. We'll be okay. We all know what a storm's like inside of it. So please don't put yourself in harm's way. But if you get it, appreciate it. Signal Force 5 up in Aurora, by the way. Is that new? Did I already say that earlier? I thought I said 4 earlier. When's the last time Aurora got Signal Force 5? Signal Force 5 up now in Aurora. That's the top end of the scale. And somebody asked about the Cagayan Valley. Corino and Isabella now under Signal Force 4. Pampanga. Somebody just asked about there. You're under Signal Force 4 now. And I said you weren't going to get the worst of it. Bulacan under Signal Force 4. Pangasinan's going to go under 4 as well. There's this whole swath along this line here. Probably going to go under Signal Force 4. Based on the trend I am seeing right now from Pagasa here. Let's click this. Let's see what it comes up. I bet you it's a whole data. This is why I use Facebook for Pagasa's information. It's slow. The website, it gets overloaded during these storms, and when you click the warnings, it takes even with my high-speed fiber internet, it's just a load on the whole system here. So I'm going to let that load up here. Let's go back to answer some of your questions. All right. What signal and result at night? Hypothetical typhoon. I also, by the way, guys, I don't like answering what's the signal going to be at a certain spot. Probably 3 or 4. Okay, but I'm never, don't take that as San Juan. Emerson said earlier, San Juan. A few people answered me. I kept on saying San Jose. What was I going at? It was a San Juan. Great, beautiful spot in La Union. Love that. San Fernando, I've stayed at the Thunderbird before. Absolutely beautiful spot. That I was fortunate enough to get that, by the way. It just ended up in one of my employers out there hooked me up, and great people that I work with there. And a beautiful, beautiful area. Thank you for your work. Appreciate Al Negro. Santiago says, donate $250. Hey, shout out. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. I was going to put a goal on here, but you guys are just too kind, and I can't say that. Jesse says, I pardon if I'm trying to cover my mouth, guys. I don't mean to scream into the mic with my coughs. That's rude. Jesse says, yeah, true about Pegasus information overload. It takes some time to get through well, I wasn't just saying that they have a lot of information coming through and you have to slog through to get to the relevant information. I was saying more like I think the website is just getting overdrawn. Their servers, I've seen the servers in Pegasus. They're, I don't know if it's just a supercomputer that runs the computer, but they got a supercomputer there. But I think it's just getting drawn on too much. And when you get a big storm like this over such a wide area, instead of like getting 1 or 2 hits, they're getting like 1 million, and it just hurts. Please warn the people of Manila about the flood danger. All right, let's talk about it. As many regions are below sea level. So you know what? The sea level and surge in Manila is possible. That question came from Mark, by the way. Shout out to Mark. Is possible, but that's not my chief concern. And hear me out. And not to say it's not a concern, and I don't want anybody to be like, Robert Spetta said. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I think the rain threat is going to be the bigger concern in Manila. I think that once this comes on shore here around Aurora, what's going to happen is a lot of these areas are going to see a lot of rain, and we see this all the time. Even with the newest flood control, wink. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there because I don't want to start something. But all this rain has got to drain somewhere. So the rivers here around Manila, yeah, a lot of these coastal areas will see a bit of coastal flooding. I'm not going to say they're not, okay? But a lot of these areas with these rivers, once they flow down, that's where you're going to start to see some river level rise. Maybe not today, Sunday. Monday and Tuesday, this will be in. So Monday, the storm's going to be over with, by the way. Let's take a look at, where's my cool graphic right here. Lex built this one. I love this graphic. Give Lex a high five here. He built this, and this is a great graphic. But anyways, so by Monday night, look at this. Yeah, we still could see some gale force winds by Monday evening along the East Coast. But more or less, the storm's over with. But the flood threat will continue to be there because of this heavy rainfall. It doesn't evaporate. It doesn't vanish. It goes somewhere, right? And I almost guarantee the day after, we're going to start to see the water levels rise, red level rainfall warnings into the rivers here. That's going to be just an ongoing threat here. So the main hazards, of course, heavy rain, but flooding. Going to be one of the big issues. Also, tornadoes. That's another thing. I don't like. I know that sounds scary, and you're like, what? Tornadoes? Yeah. Tornadoes are going to be another issue here, especially with this just being a really big, dirty storm, and it starts to come on shore. It's going to get the friction mixed in there, and it could be having a. By the way, somebody asked, is it's weakening? Let's go back to Dvorak because I think it might be. This is Dvorak analysis, by the way. It's advanced Dvorak from Sims. They're still showing 140. It could weaken just a little bit before landfall here because it's getting a little bit of friction. And even JTWC shows that. Look at this. JTWC is 110. JTWC doesn't have it as a super, by the way. They still have it as a Typhoon. They show this kind of a little shear, a little friction coming on shore with 95 knots. So closer to that Cat 3 intensity versus 4. That's good. That's really good news. Bad news overall, it still is a big old fat storm. So you have this big wind field with it. But maybe our friends in Catanduanes that saw this, that might be the worst images we've seen from this. I do think Belair is still going to get hit, and that's where all our typhoon hunters are out there right now covering this storm system. But this is out of Catanduanes, these images right here. All right, let's go back to the board. Let's go back to answer some more of your questions. And by the way, if you guys are donating to the channel, it doesn't go to me. It goes to these graphics and everything. Well, it goes to me. But it also, I'm going to be sharing a lot of the wealth with those people that I mentioned making these graphics, a lot of these graphics you see here. And also texting me right now. Just actually somebody sent me a video just now. Let's see. I got some video out of Bullhole. I'm just seeing if any of these are worth sharing. I still see a lot of people. Hey, if you guys want to share some images, send it to the Westpac Weather Messenger direct message, because that's where I can't answer my message box, but those guys I've been mentioning will answer the message box there. Hi, Robert. Watch the stream. How safe will Metro Manila be? Tropical storm strength winds, flood threats. That's going to be one of the big ones. The storm is so slow. Actually, it's not. It's not super slow. It feels slow. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not. It's moving along. What right now? Moving at about 18 knots forward. That's fast for a landfalling tropical system. So it's actually moving at a pretty decent pace right now, which is good. That means the flood threat won't be quite as high. I keep on saying okay. Parsak said I keep on saying Pangasinan wrong. Pangasinan. I'm gonna say nun now. All right. Did I say it right? San Juan. Somebody answered that from earlier. Goodness, why? I like the place. I like that beach community. Why did I say it wrong? It's because my brain's fried. Let's see. A lot of people writing from Laguna. Somebody said, don't say my name because you will mispronounce it. I am sorry if I insult some of you guys. I probably will. I'm a dumb American. I know. I have a bad accent. Like I said earlier, if somebody was a teacher and wants to teach me some Tagalog, hey, I'm here. Send me a message. Robert, so Aurora and Isabella will be flooded just like Cebu? Probably not. I think closer to like what we've seen last year with Pepito. And here's some other good news about Aurora and Isabella and Cagayan, and like Apari for that matter. The Magat Dam's been releasing water for a few days now. So remember like in 2020 and 2021, there was some serious flooding from a few storms out there. I think they've learned. Release that water ahead of time. So they've been releasing water. So you're not getting the combinations. And plus, this is moving at a pretty decent pace. So it probably shouldn't see it like in Cebu, but those classic kind of flood prone and the Cagayan Valley is a flood plain for that matter. It floods there. So there will be flooding, but probably not what we've seen in Cebu. Now that's apples to oranges though. I mean, to somebody that lives on a floodplain in the Cagayan Valley, you're probably going to go, my house is still flooded. It's hard. All right. So what's the projection for Baguio? Hey, yeah, let's give Baguio a little shout out here because this storm's going to pass kind of right over you. Let's jump over here. Man, I'm my own director, my own producer, running, answering comments at the same time, back and forth, graphics being pulled up, trying to ingest information, trying to check my messenger because there's a lot of people writing me still. Yeah, my inbox, once I shut this stream down, it's gonna be like 100 messages in there. So if I don't get back to you guys, I'm sorry. Let's like literally just click on Baguio and take a look what the ECMWF model is showing. So the higher elevations, I do know that you're projected to get 100 to 200 millimeters of rain. You're kind of in the break right now between cells. And you can see here at the bottom, yeah, it's still showing gust. Look at this. Monday overnight into Monday morning, just after midnight, Baguio in the higher elevations there could be looking at 130 to 40 kilometer per hour wind gusts. That's intense. I think the bigger threat in the higher elevations we always see is going to be the the rainfall and mudslide threat. But Benguet area, once this passes right overhead, and let's look right around that time frame, you're gonna be swamped. That's where, I mean, you're getting some in the core of the storm here. So when Pangasinan's getting that rain wrapping around Baguio and a lot of the mountains all the way out here towards the Ilocos Norte, just going to be looking at those winds kicking in from the south, and you get that uplift. You're going to get the funneling between the mountains, and that brings kind of those broader range of impacts. So good question there. Sorry if I'm not hitting on Baguio too much. I know I concentrate on the East Coast and the metro areas down towards the south, but those mountainous areas are going to be impacted just as much. And you may not be under Signal Force 4 right now, but I would suggest Signal Force 3 or 4 is going to cascade over those mountains there towards the west. And let's actually see if there's any update from Bagasa. Yeah, they're still under Signal Force 5 there in Aurora, 4 into the Cagayan Valley. Actually, this finally loaded. So let's read through some of this. Tropical cyclone, Signal Force 5 in play. Goodness gracious, this is a lot. This is a lot. I can't. I can't right now. That is a lot of information. But I think this is for that Signal Force 5 right here from Aurora, Casiguran down through Belair. Also have Signal Force 5 in place here around Camarines Norte and also Catanduanes, where, you know, we've seen these videos out of earlier today. So yeah, it's no wonder those are under a Signal Force 5 at this time. I want to see... Let's see if I can pull up the information for the Metro Manila area here and read some of that information in a little bit more detail. This is actually out of Catanduanes earlier, by the way. I just clicked on it accidentally. But they got some... I don't think this is surge. People are telling me this may not be a surge. This might be actually flooding like you've seen in Cebu. That's earlier. This is also Catanduanes from earlier here as well. So let's go back to the satellite. Let's get in some more of your questions. All right. Let's see. Hypothetical Typhoon says, what signal? You've been asking the weirdest questions. I don't know what you're talking about. What's the protection for Baguio? No. Okay, this is a weird question. This is an interesting question. I shouldn't say weird. It's just the rain band of the typhoon since the large fat eye of the typhoon. I think you're replying to somebody else. When will this live end? When I pass out, which might be sooner than later. Will the mountains of the ranges of the Luzon weaken the storm garden? Says yes, but always remember that doesn't mean weak. That just like if let's put it in terms that Filipinos will understand. If me, a weak short man, walked up to Manny Pacquiao and punched him in the face, would it impact him? Probably. He might be, ow-ish. He's still gonna kick my butt. It's not gonna hurt him. That's what the mountains do. Yeah, it will hit it. It will the storm will notice it, but it's still gonna roll over and it's still gonna have some broader impacts here. Somebody says there's deep convection south and over NCR. Is that going to spawn a rain like Quetzana or Andoy? Like I said, I don't like comparing storms 1-to-1. And Andoy was just a monster, okay? But, if we do get some of these bands that do wrap around from the north, yeah, like if the mountains don't do their job, and let's say we do get some of the banding that comes in from the south, the west, and let's actually jump over to the ECMWF, and we can even see this here a little bit overnight. If some of these bands do shift a little bit further towards the south overnight, You know, you could be looking at some pretty decent rain totals, but I still kind of stand by. I think that Manila is going to see about 50 to 150, and I still think that the worst threat for Manila is going to be more so the river runoff from the mountains towards the north. So it's a tricky one because I'm not going to sit here and say it's not going to flood. That's why I don't like comparing 1-to-1 for storms. Just like a lot of people were comparing, and this is a clear example of that, and I'm not calling you out, Hachi and Fall, about this question because it's a very good and legit question. A lot of people compared Tino to Odette in Cebu just a week ago. A lot of people were like, well, this isn't going to be a super typhoon. And then the impacts came. It was a different storm with different impacts. So yeah, yeah, you can tell my brain's starting to fry. Leslie Wade says Tagaytay. Love Tagaytay. Actually, if you check out my Facebook page, I posted a memory from 11 years ago from the top of the radar dome. I was standing up there. Our friends at Pagasa were nice enough to give me a little tour of the radar dome out there at Tagaytay. Also have some land in the area too. Beautiful spot. How is it going to be impacted? Well, a little upslope there coming out. You know, I think you could be looking at some upslope kind of lift, extra orographic lifting, some heavy rainfall. But you're a lot further towards the south than a lot of these other areas. So you're probably not going to get the worst of the winds. But you could be looking at some pretty decent rains, but you're definitely well removed from some of the heaviest of the conditions there. So Leslie, I hope that answers your question. Worst of it will be overnight though, there for you. Sir, this is category 5 typhoon. It is not. It's not a cat 5. We look at the satellite imagery right now. You can really see it's a little ragged on the eye. It's more of a 3 or a 4, not a cat 5. But to answer your question, should there be a new scale? There's been a lot of debate about it. A lot of debate. Maybe they want to add a cat 6 to the Saffron-Simpson scale. Melissa, if you extrapolate the scale from like the scale and the step-ups, Melissa was almost a cat 6 if you extrapolate at the scale alone. So like the wind speed between each scale. And so was Haiyan for that matter. And like Patricia as well. Yeah, let's talk about how long will the passage, somebody just, oh goodness, it skipped. How long will the passage be over Luzon? Monday morning, Sunday night and Monday morning, things are going to really start to significantly improve. So that by Monday morning, you still have some gusty conditions on the coast, but things will definitely improve. Absorption says, Robert, I have a question after passing. Will it move towards Taiwan next? So let's, and you've probably seen that graphic come through here a few times. I just have the graphics from Metro Weather's Weatherscape on a loop here. That's why it's just looping through. It's kind of like a little kind of show there. So let's jump over to these graphics. I'm jumping around. I have like 4 screens, all with different things on here right now. So you see on JTWC's track here, they actually they get rid of the typhoon strength winds before this goes off towards Taiwan, and it comes on shore likely as a tropical storm with winds of 40 to 50 knots. I mean, that's not 60, 70 kph. Going to be a rainmaker for parts of Taiwan, but I'm not sincerely concerned about it, especially like if you compare it with other storms you've gotten so far this year. I just read it. I'm sorry, I'm giggling at some questions coming through right now. Not questions, messages. And if you compare that with other storms you got this year, it's and that's why I'm not concentrating on Taiwan. It will impact you eventually. By the time it gets there, it's going to be a big rainmaker, and to the point where I think probably Taipei is not even going to shut down. Or if they do, it'll be like schools might be canceled, but like the salarymen will still go to work. You could tell I lived in Japan for a while. I say salarymen. But I'm not really, I'm more concerned about the impacts out here across the Philippines. Something just started playing. I just started getting audio from somewhere weird. All right. So let's bump over back to this. All right. Any idea what it'd be like around the Mall of Asia? So I think Rojas Boulevard, Mall of Asia area, not 100%, but I do believe that tonight into tomorrow morning, those winds are going to wrap out from the west, and you could be looking at some flooding in a few spots there. A little coastal surge. Is the Mall of Asia going to blow away? No. Is Manila going to see damaging winds? Probably not. Is debris laying on the road, somebody's umbrella on top of the food stand, gonna get chucked? Probably. Or, if you're going to work Monday morning and you have a little weak umbrella, is that gonna get chucked? Maybe. Somebody says, what game is that? Did I have a game up? I don't have any games up. Or is it something behind me? I have a Christmas tree. I don't know what you're talking about. Let's see. Also, last live show that you're at 90K. Now you're at 92,000. Oh, Will's talking about my subscribers. Yeah, Will. Hey, if you guys like this channel and you don't want to donate, and if you do want to donate, thank you so much for donating. Truly, truly appreciate it. But if you do don't want to donate, and I'm never going to put the stuff behind a paywall or anything like that, hit that subscribe button. That's one way you can personally help me right now. If we get over 100,000 subscribers, it verifies the channel, gets a little blue check mark next to it in the YouTube algorithm, in the news section of things. Right now, the algorithm sees me as like a YouTuber that's like just a random YouTuber, and it doesn't match me up against ABS, CBN, ANC, GMA. So a lot of the times in the algorithm, I'll get buried below, even though I have the same exact information and the same exact graphics. That's what this is. These graphics here, this is what like News 5 uses and ABS uses. This is a Metro Weather's Weatherscape. You have the same exact graphics, but the YouTube algorithm buries me below that. Let's see. Robert, will it head south and hit NCR directly? Nah. I keep on hearing this noise coming from somewhere here. Will it? Nah. I'm not worried about it heading south and hitting Manila directly. I think that it's going to track more than likely over like kind of Clark, Pangasinan, Pampanga, Maga area. That's probably going to get hit more directly. Doesn't mean it's not going to be bad. You see right here, Monday storms, but Sunday really messy weather and still lingering showers on Monday. But that shift due south, it probably isn't going to happen. Lucas says the storm chasers are the horsemen of the apocalypse. Hey, those horsemen are my friends. But you're right. If you see, especially in Belair, James Reynolds, Jordan Hall, and Josh Morgan are all there. And Mark Thomas, excuse me. So you got four of them. If all four of them show up at the same time in your neighborhood, better hold on. Hilux Supremacy says not in my algorithm. Yeah, so I'm talking about people that don't follow Westpac Weather. And if you've already checked it, then it pops up. But yeah. Somebody says, I'm in a village near Santiago. We lost power for 5 hours and the weather still isn't that bad. Yeah, that's the problem with the infrastructure in the Philippines. Love you guys in the Philippines, but yeah, the infrastructure is in some spots is a little rough. I'm not going to go there as far as flood control and all that. But, yes, the power goes in and out. That's why it's smart to have a generator or one of these. Where is it? I'll be right back. Oh, yeah. One of these. Oh, I'm back. One of these bad boys, big old batteries or something like that. A lot of people have that. I have that one in case of a hurricane. It charges the phone like 1,000 times, and I can even run the computer on it for a little while. That's a good thing to have. And I know that's expensive. This thing cost me a few $100s. So yeah, it is expensive. Not everybody can afford it, but something like that Somebody says TV5 uses Windy app. Actually, you're right. I did see them using Windy app earlier. It's free. Windy might have issues with it, though, so just be careful if anybody's watching from TV5. I asked Windy once, and they said, just give us credit. I'm like, all right. So, good app. Hi, Windy. Okay, Robert, does Samar province be flooded again? Nah, you're good. You're good. You're good. I think the person asked that question was one said, don't say my name on here. Let's see. All right. San Pedro City. What's the situation there? Sammy asked. All right. So I'm going to admit I'm not exactly sure. But hey, I'm learning. Oh, Laguna. Man, there's a lot of people asking about Laguna here. Which is cool. I love you guys. So, San Pedro, south of Manila, tropical storm strength winds. The good news, I guess, is at least the winds aren't coming from the east for you. So for the most part, the winds are going to come in from the west and then eventually from the south. Let's go to, so right there, San Pedro. I had to Google it. I'm sorry, guys. I should know that. It just, yeah, I don't know. My brain's fried. But for the most part, the winds are going to come from the west. So you're not going to see like a Seychelles out there. But maybe the East Coast might, the east side of the isle, the lake there. But you're still going to get those winds kind of kicking up through Manila Bay. And I wouldn't be surprised if overnight you get a little bit of those tropical storm strength conditions, but probably not typhoon. Watch out for those like little micro bands kind of mixed in there, though. Some of these, like, you can see in the bottom side of the screen here. You see how that, like, there was a band that hit late day. A lot of people are saying it was messy weather. If you do get some of that banding there around Laguna, and in the NCR for that matter, you could see those winds kind of really pick up in those areas too. So, but you're not getting the core of it. All right. Let's see. Somebody said, oh, shoot. Gabriel just said, just donate it. Hi, are the two rainfall graphs you show different? I have been showing a couple. Yeah. So most of the rainfall graphics I'm showing here are ECMWF based. I've actually shown like 3-4 of them. Oh, okay. Maybe on the Metro weather you see. So one, there's more red than the other. And it just looped through. If you look at the scale, they are different because one goes up to 300 millimeters and one goes up to 50 millimeters. So look at the top right of the scale. Always look at the scales whenever you're looking at graphics anyways. That's important. Very good question. And I only did that the show... I have two different graphics, and honestly, I probably should just be using the 300 millimeter one. I use the 50 millimeter one sometimes when there's not a lot of rain, and then the 300 millimeter when I need a little more detail on big rain events. So yeah, they are different, but they're both based on ECMWF data. So good question, very good question, a very good catch there. Richard donated $5. Thank you so much, Richard. Cheers, I appreciate you. And thank you so much. I mean, you guys don't have to donate. I am humbled by it. And thank you. It's truly. Yeah, thank you so much. Same with all our Patreon members. And you see that looping through occasionally on here. I have our Super Typhoons. Those are people that donate $10, in some cases more a month. And they don't really ask for much more in return outside of just giving them a mention and keep doing what we do here at Westpac Weather. So it is humbling. Granted, I guess it's part of the job that I've kind of undertaken here. Celestial says, hello, Robert. Is it undergoing eyewall replacement cycle? I'm thinking it's coming close. And I 100% agree with you. In fact, let me refresh the microwave imagery here. I think that it is... Good question, Celestial. So eyewall replacement cycle, if you don't know what it is, basically the eye wall collapses and an inner eye wall forms. And you can kind of see it here. Watch a little bit. You get the big old, and then right in the last few frames, you can kind of see the inner band trying to form up around it. And that's probably why on satellite, you're seeing it's a little disrupted. It's a little weird, by the way. You got, like, I think the eye wall's right in there. You got a little vortices kind of popping up there. This is a sloppy storm. It really is. I think it's too big for its britches. That's my mom used to say to me. But it is. It's too big. And you know what's happening? The energy is getting so spread out. It's not able to consolidate and condense. So it might be going through an eye wall replacement cycle, but I think it's just too spread out. So it's got like this just sloppy look to it. Good in that it's not going to reach Cat 5 looking like this. Bad in that it's got a lot of, we saw some serious storm surge around parts of Catanduanas, there along the east coast of the Beat Call region, and now wrapping around from the north, we're seeing a bit of a surge kind of wrapping in. So this bigger wind field means more rain, broader wind field, and maybe a higher surge, but the peak winds in the inner core are not quite as intense, if that makes sense. I hope it makes sense. Who is texting me? Goodness gracious. I got 300 comments on my thing right now. And for example, John, I just clicked on somebody's name, John. One question: is it possible to raise signal force 4 in Cavite? It's possible, but I think in probable probability at 3. You might go to 4. I don't like answering signal questions. I don't like the signal warnings. First of all, I would put you under in Cavite a severe tropical storm, maybe a typhoon warning, but I don't like the signal warnings because I don't like the step ups and everything. That's a soapbox for a different time. But I don't like answering that because it is subjective based on what Pagasa. Like sometimes they go 5, sometimes they don't. Just be ready. If you are in the NCR, Cavite City especially, and north all the way up towards Magat and Iligan areas and Isabela, be ready for at least typhoon strength gust. Yeah, well, I want to check something real quick here. I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to take a beat. Taking a beat here. I'm going to go to YouTube. What in the world just happened? The light just turned on right in my face. Just random. I'm going to go to YouTube here. I want to check something. I want to see one of my best buddies here. He's not streaming. Rats. Must have lost internet. I wanted to see if videographer James Reynolds, he's been streaming, which, by the way, a shout out to him. If you see this on your channel, go check it out, please. It says waiting. In an hour, he's going to start streaming. He's probably taking a little break out filming or something like that. He's going to be filming and just monitoring this thing as it comes on shore in Belair. So if I shut down, move over to that channel because he will have the live on the ground updates. And sometimes him and Mark, who's with him, they're really good at just answering questions on the stream too, live there. They're not gonna have the graphics or anything, but they will have you a good visual on the ground. And Belair right there where that stream is, they might have lost power. They got a Starlink with them, but I mean, they're probably getting some of these kind of big bands at this point coming in from the north and east, kind of wrapping around, which, by the way, I'm going to take a moment and look. I'm going to check something real quick. Let's check some of our messages. I wonder if I've gotten any new just wild video, because I've been getting a lot of them out of here. Oh, goodness, I'm tired. Wake just over 24 hours now. Oops. But also, I'm just bouncing around the graphics here. I'll get to your guys' questions in a second. Just, let's go. I'll probably do a quick review real quick, too. Let's see if we got any new stuff here. Well, this is from an hour ago. No classes, all levels. Tomorrow, for a lot of areas, from Ilocos, Cagayan Valley, Central Luzon, Manila, Visayas, Eastern Visayas, Western Visayas, Negros, Ilocos region. All of those areas don't have classes. That is from the office of the president. Yeah, he said, don't go to school tomorrow, guys, which is smart. Good. Be smart, be safe, stay inside. I'm glad to see that, actually. Yeah. Goodness, there's just so many questions here. Let me see. I just want to... Whoa, that's a wild video. Let me see if I can put this up. This is a... Look at these waves. All right, let me pop this. This was messaged to me. I'm not pulling this out. Like, somebody just messaged me this. That's why it says download in the top right. I just pulled it up on the screen there. The framing's not right. I'm just grabbing screen capturing this stuff. Let's loop this through again. Look at that. Look at that. Like it's a break wall. This must be in Belair. I think I recognize this. Yeah, that's some wild video coming in from there. Already kind of being impacted right there on the coast. All right, let's go back to... You can tell my brain's getting a little scattered. I'm just going to keep answering some of your questions here. You know what I'm going to do first? So let's walk through the latest information. Somebody said, when did it upgrade to Super Typhoon? According to Bagasa earlier on today, this morning in the Philippines, but never made it to JTWC and JMA, by the way. But Bagasa, they officially did upgrade it to a Super Typhoon. So yeah, somebody said, yay, no classes. Yep, nope, no classes. Stay home, hurricane party. I hope the storm starts now, Clarissa says. Me too. I want to go to bed. That'd be cool, just evaporated. Unfortunately, no matter how much praying you do, that ain't going to happen. The storm's coming. I made this rant earlier, and I'm going to go on it again. I see a lot of people that say, oh, I pray, I rebuke the storm. And like that cool, but just keep in mind, it's more about education and use that faith to inform your friends around you that the storm is coming. That's what I like to say. I don't try to hope it away. Use that kind of faith with in everything, no matter what your religion is, to acknowledge that the storm is coming. And you can pray all you want, but just use that to educate and support your friends. You get where I'm going with this? God, my brain is falling apart. But use that faith to support. Do the good thing, right? Pay it forward. That's the way I try to live by. So just remember that. If for anybody that says something like that. Tropic Shade says, keep those graphics coming and get some rest. I will. I'm getting rest soon. You've been supporting the channel, by the way, Tropic Shade. So I thank you very much. Just donated $10, and that's really kind of you. Ferries will resume with signal levels dropped, and same with a lot of flights. I know private and small planes all get shut down too. John says, shout out before the storm hits us. Yeah, and here's the thing. The storm's nearing landfall, and I will probably shut down soon because at some point I'm going to pass out. I'm tired. But at some point, I can only warn so much. And this is nearing landfall. Already starting to see some of these rain bands come on shore. And I can just only warn so much. So after I leave here, I probably will keep the stream going, just looping on the graphics, and then I'm going to go to bed. Yeah, there's just only so much I can do. And then I'll just start repeating myself once it comes on shore. And then it becomes more of after it makes landfall, it becomes more of a reporting story and less of a forecasting story. And Westpac Weather has always been a forecasting channel. So with that said, I'm going to answer some more of these questions here in a minute, but let's talk about this. So right now, I'm gonna not close it out, but I'm gonna get to the graphics here, and let's talk about this. So right now, this is located just north of Diet, where you're actually getting kind of the eye wall at this point, southern eye wall wrapping around. Conditions are improving in Catanduanes over towards Legazpi, but now it's going to start to worsen real soon in Casigurdan over towards Belair. I did notice that a videographer, James Reynolds' stream is down. That makes perfect sense. They're probably getting closer to the storm. Weather's going to pick up and become pretty rough there. And they're also going to be seeing a bit of surge right along the east coast here. Some spots, especially around Belair towards Casigurdan, could see about a 2 to 3 meter high surge. We already seen that in places like Catanduanes, where there is, these videos coming out of there. Some pretty rough conditions. Let's see if this refreshes real quick. Where you have those winds picking up there along the coast. And then this video right here, let's refresh it real quick, showing that surge. This is from earlier today, that surge that came on shore, causing a little bit of flooding there in Catanduanes. The storm is capable of producing a pretty decent surge here. So here's a look at the winds, the timing. For eastern areas of its size, already kind of past your peak here. Now we're getting into the afternoon. So the winds are going to start to pick up tonight. And see here in central Luzon, Belair landfall likely around 6-7 p.m., 1900. Peaking with some of the worst of the weather after sunset, though, closer to about 20 to 2100. And then after midnight, we start to see some improving conditions in those spots, but then conditions start to go downhill for parts of the Cagayan Valley into Ilocos area. About 3 in the morning, places like the Cagayan Valley, Iligan, Kauayan, all going to be looking at their worst of the conditions. And also, just after midnight, some pretty bad weather in places like Baguio. You're going to be looking at those winds really, really pick up there. So it will be an overnight storm for a lot of people. We're watching this approach during the day. Catanduanes got it during the day. It's going to be an overnight storm. I don't like overnight storms. You can't see. Stay inside. Be smart. Be safe, friends. Big rainmaker overnight. This is from Weather Tech Manila. They have great local high-resolution graphics. Dr. Gary Bactasa, great guy. Any meteorologist who's been through any meteorology program in the Philippines. He's a doctor at the University of the Philippines, Diliman. He has this website. Good friend of mine, smart guy. And also great graphics right here, showing in higher elevations, 200 millimeters plus across parts of the Sierra Madre Mountains and over towards the Cordillera Mountains. Maybe not so much along the Abra area, but here's the problem. All that rain has to go somewhere, and it always flows down into those low-lying areas. You're going to see water level rises. In the Cagayan Valley, it probably will not be what we saw with Tino and Cebu, but you are going to see some flooding potentially here in the Cagayan River. Same with a lot of the rivers out towards the NCR as that water starts to flow down into those lower elevations as well here. So there's multifaceted impacts taking place here with this storm system. Let's actually take a look at this right here. So after that exits the Philippines, here as we go ahead through Monday, we start to see those improving conditions. It will move towards the north, but it's going to weaken significantly due to an abundance of shear before impacting Taiwan, which is why I'm not really focused too much on Taiwan at this time. Really a bigger impactor out here in the Philippines. So here's a look at the timing. See that landfall probably around 6-7 o'clock tonight as this crosses just right around Belair, coming on shore, crossing over Aurora and exiting around Pangasinan, where Pangasinan, you're probably going to be under signal force 4, if not 5 along the west coast in those specific areas here. May see 3 or 4 for places like Subic further towards the south. And as we go ahead overnight, you can see those winds wrapping around closer to the Manila area and even like Cavite City. Maybe not the higher elevations in Cavite, but Cavite City could be looking at some flooding too as those winds wrap around into Manila Bay. But the worst of it is probably going to be on the west coast in Pangasinan. Somebody corrected me earlier here. And even as it moves towards the north, you still can see those winds kind of kick up around La Union. And then it kind of works its way off along the west coast. And then it heads out towards Taiwan, where the east coast is going to be looking at a lot of rain. It's not a higher resolution of where the core of this storm is going to come on shore, just near Belair, crossing right over like the Magat Dam area there, and then exiting just around Pangasinan. I keep on saying it wrong. And then heading off further towards the west. And here's another look at that rainfall forecast here with you. So I appreciate you guys watching these, by the way. Big shout out. But know your information through those official sources. I say this in like every video, but please. A lot of people are asking me, what's the signal force warning going to be for such and such? And I don't have a Pegasa forecaster sitting next to me here. I don't. Your local NDRMC in Pegasa, that's where you got to ask these questions. And they put out so much information. It's actually almost to the point where it's a little too much information because it gets kind of lost in the weeds. But those are the guys. My goal here is to actually I relay a lot of what their information is. I'm not even making my own forecast here. I'm relaying it and interpreting it. But those are the guys. And also the NDRMCs are the ones that tells you to evacuate. Please do not ask me if you should evacuate. That's something on your local. I will tell you. And if I tell you there's a 3-foot storm surge and you live a foot above sea level, you probably should learn and take that advice into your own and go. Or if you have friends that live like a meter above sea level and there's a 3-meter storm surge, probably should know it. But know your zone, kind of what I like to say. Know where the flood area is and know if you're in that flood prone spot. And also, as always, it's starting to get a little bit too late to do this now, but preparing, maybe not too late for the West Coast, but prepare. Maybe take time right now to fill up some water bottles, things like that. Charge phones, obviously. But some other things that people don't think about is like if you're honestly nervous about this storm, maybe take a moment to just like put things in like your important papers in like Ziploc bags. It's a silly thing. And also take photos of your belongings. Why would I take photos of my belongings? Because if you have any sort of insurance, flood insurance, renter's insurance, something like that, you can prove to your insurance company. We know all insurance companies are. They won't get how. So if you have any sort of thing like that, you can prove to them, yeah, I did have that TV and it was gone after the storm. All right. Is it going to be a category 4 or 3? It's probably a 3 now based on what I'm seeing. So already a super typhoon. Random things ask. If you want direct news, it's probably on Facebook. Yeah, but no. You can be on Facebook and get your news, but just make sure you're getting it from a trusted source. In 2025, there is an overabundance of AI fake images that I've even seen it already with this storm, where you're like, come on. And then the issue is just like 10,000 likes on it, and it makes me want to chuck something across the room, and it just absolutely just upsets me. Can you please check Cat 5 storm Karding, Nauru, last September 2022 at a very similar track? And yeah, you know what? It's so Paula Blue Dot asked this question, and my goodness, if you've watched any of my videos over the last few years, I say time and time again, storms do tend to track south, and this one has been tracking south with the initial models are showing. But I think we're getting to that point right now where I'm not even looking at the models anymore. As far as I'm progging at this point, and progging is saying, okay, the storm's here, storm's there, storm's there. Where's it going to be next? Probably there. And then I'm looking at dynamics. So we've already seen that with the storm. It has shifted further towards the south, but I don't expect any big changes at this point based on the current track. It's good point though, and I've said this for like a week and a half now with this storm. And Tino last week, too, did the exact same thing. Somebody said, get some rest. I'll get rest when I'm getting rest, but I am going to get rest soon. I'm gonna pass out. Everybody's correcting me on my pronunciation of Pangasinan. Robert, can you please check? No, I already read that one. How about Tarlac in central Luzon? I've actually, this is the thing. I've been talking for about an hour and a half now. And I'm repeating a lot because I actually went into detail on Tarlac earlier. Groovy Tier World of Music. Groovy, if that Do you have a business? Because if I'm going through around the Clark area, I'm stopping in and saying hi. That sounds like a fun place to be. Groovy's Terry's world of music. How about Tarlock City? Wind and rain has died down for about an hour. Yeah, you're kind of in the middle of a gap right now in those areas. It's not over yet. Let's actually jump over to this real quick. So you're kind of in a little bit of a gap. See Tarlock there on the screen. You're in, but those heavier bands are coming soon. But really, the core of the weather, the worst of the weather, is off towards the east, and that probably will track just towards you north. So you may not be getting you probably get tropical storm strength winds out of this, a lot of rain, but you're probably gonna miss out on like the typhoon full on conditions for that specific area there. All right. Let's bounce back over to this. Let's see. Somebody says making fake news on topics like this is pure evil. Yeah, but then people, they you know what they do? You make fake news like that. You get 1 million shares on Facebook, and you get $1,000, roughly. I don't know. But. And then you make the money, and then people they don't care what it does to people. They just get the money, and it's really obnoxious and annoying there. Oh, CCG Noob just donated 125 pesos. It says currently here in Casi Gordon, Aurora. Tried to go back to Belair earlier. Yeah, it's impassable due to all vehicles. CCG, thank you so much for sharing out of there. You are in the path of this storm system, and I appreciate the donation, but I wish I could give it back. Like, I know it's 125, I get it, but give that money to somebody else in Casigoron that's going to need it. And along the coast there, over the next few days, from Belair to Casigoron, I think it's going to be some of the hardest hit areas. And I know, like last year, Pepito, the same area got really whacked. But help out your people there. Make sure they're all secured and everything, because this one's going to be you're gonna get it here in just a bit. Just make sure your friends and neighbors are settled there, CCG. I appreciate the donation. That's really kind. But I wish I could donate it back to you, because I want you to help out your people, your neighbors there around you instead. But thank you so much. Let's see. Somebody just says I'm from Laguna. The rain has stopped, but the winds are still strong. Yeah, you're kind of in a lull in the rain bands, but it's gonna pick back up again. But there's you had a rain band earlier today, and that now you're gonna get another rain band on the back side of that. Let me see. Do I think the storm is moving fast or slow? I think it's moving fast. It's moving forward at about 20 knots right now. So as far as the forward motion of storms, Gabrielle asked, I think that is it's moving along. It's moving along at a pretty decent pace. Somebody said, will the next storm make 400 kilometers per hour? Lawrence says, go Jacks. Do you think the storm will motivate Trevor Lawrence? Trevor's been doing good lately. I'm in Jacksonville, guys. Trevor Lawrence, the quarterback for the Jacksonville Jags. I'm not a big football fan, though. I played high school football, but I grew up a Bills fan. I like seeing the local team win because it makes everybody happy. But I'm a hockey player at heart. Lot more faster paced. What's the deal with people posting the same comment 10 times in a row? Raminous visuals. So I'll address this real quick. A lot of people have been asking about, is there going to be another storm after Feng Wang here? And first off, it always annoys me when people share stuff like that. Not you asking that question. Granted, you asked it 5-6 times in a row. And then hypothetical John says, yes. No. Stop putting misinformation on here, please, for the love of God. Because, one, let's deal with the storm at hand. Two, one model a while ago showed a storm. All right, let's pull up the GFS and see what it's showing now. Oh gosh, I have to refresh it. It's been slow. So yeah, we kind of got a broad low down here, but it was showing like on the 11th and the 12th. And yeah, you can see a broad low. You see that? A little cute little low maybe, but there's nothing anymore on the 11th or 12th. Long range models, you cannot just share one GFS model. And then, because I've been seeing this over and over again, that is the number one thing that drives me crazy. Is somebody shares like one long range GFS, they put spooky music over it. They never follow up on it. They never say, and like they never share what the ECMWS show was. It's been absolutely nothing. And then you get people like here in the comments, the hypothetical typhoon saying, yeah, another storm's coming. Probably because you've seen that one run a few days ago. There is nothing there now. If anything, maybe a little weak tropical wave. You can kind of see it here. But there is not another storm forming after this. There's no convection. There's no invest area. The models aren't showing anything. There is not another. Now, maybe there might be storm in a few weeks, and then they're going to feel vindicated and say, oh, I said there was going to be a storm. No, you specifically said the 11th or the 12th there would be a storm. And that scared a lot of people, not you specifically here watching this, but the people that have been sharing this, scared a lot of people, and then nothing happens, and then they don't follow up and go, my bad, or delete it. They leave it up. There's one TikToker that has it up. It has like 3 million views on it, and they still have pinned to the top of their page, still getting shared. A model run from a week ago. Ooh, this is my soapbox. This just woke me back up that you asked that question. It's a good question, but that's my soapbox. That's the thing that will, let's get back to the topic at hand. Oh, you all right, hypothetical typhoon, you have been banned. I'm hiding the user from the channel. You're gone. Just repeating yes over and over again. Done. You're gone. You've been asking some weird questions. You're out. All right. So, and Ramis visuals, it's a fair question. I'm not hating on you here at all. I'm actually hating on the person that was saying, yeah, there would be over and over again. And it's just like, yeah. Ballot says, besides Yolanda, what storm typhoons have you tracked that you'll never forget? Good question, Bay. Hey, thank you very much. That's a little personal question, and if you guys don't mind me asking, so ones I will never forget. Sodalore, I chased in Taiwan. That came on shore as a super typhoon. That was a pretty wild one. Haiyan, obviously, in the Philippines, tracking that one. But you said besides Haiyan, that's like the give me, right? Here in the States, Ian, obviously, I was here through that one. Last year, Helene and Milton, I chased those, went through those like on the ground. One of my first storms I chased was probably the original Manyi, severe tropical storm Manyi in Japan. I was right on the coast. That was a fun one. That was like one of my funnest chases, and that was one of the ones that I just had a good time on. Like I was right on the beach, and it was like a little lighthouse. It was beautiful photogenic shots, and occasionally I'll share still a video of me in front of like waves with a kestrel, and waves are splashing behind me and everything. But I think one of the non-typhoon storms-ish that I will never forget was, I say non-typhoon, and it's not even a storm, was March 11th, 2011, of course, the earthquake and tsunami, which if you're new to following me and you haven't been with me for a long time, I am one of the few, if not like, there's only like 5 of us that I know of, meteorologists that have plotted radiation fallout in an active scenario. Maybe some people that were around during the nuclear testing days back in like the 50s that are still alive and were meteorologists then. But in the recent younger generation, I am one of the only few meteorologists that have plotted radiation fallout in an active scenario. American meteorologists, at least. There's a bunch of Japanese ones, too, for obvious reasons. And that's because my job, I was in the military at the time, was to make sure that recovery efforts with all the aircraft carriers and ships just offshore were not getting blasted by the radiation coming out of Fukushima Daiichi. It was a very important and just scary job, and that's probably the hallmark of my career. A little bit of a ranted there. Teresa it just became a member, a Typhoon member. Thank you so much. That's really kind of you. Thank you so much. How is the Google, Sal asks, how's the Google DeepMind faring so far? Let's actually bounce over to the DeepMind. I got it up on my list of pages here. That's not it. Ooh, this is getting closer to that next landfall, I'll tell you that. Eye wall, just north of Diet. Let's bounce over the DeepMind. Let's hit the refresh button on it. All right. And then I got to zoom back in. Only active storm around the world. Showing a cat. See, this is not updating. That's weird. I wanted to update. Come on. Update. Let's click on Feng Wang. All right. How has it been faring so far? That was your question. It wasn't what it's showing right now, which is showing that center line making that landfall right near Belair, possibly just north of there. They're still going to get the eye wall. So is Casiguran. How's it been faring? Pretty good. Pretty good on intensity. It still can work. Which, by the way, check out this YouTube channel. You're probably going to have to scroll back because I literally posted it yesterday, but it's been like 15 videos since. I do have a short on here where I'm talking with a director from the World Meteorological Agency about what, like, the AI models and how they're changing the game in weather forecasting. It's a 1-minute clip. It's a part of a 20-minute long interview, which will be posted up pretty soon after this storm, after I have some time to put it together. But he took time to talk to me about it, and we scheduled this like a while ago, so that's why I did it right in the middle of like coverage here. But and that was one thing he said. The intensity forecasting is still there. But here's something that I like to say. The AI, and this isn't just with weather models, AI today is the worst it will ever be. Like, what do you mean by that? It means tomorrow it's going to be better. AI is self-learning. It learns. And every day gets better. So today, right this second, is the worst it will ever be, because tomorrow will be better. So that intensity forecasting will probably be better. But the track forecasting is actually pretty spot on. The AI has been predicting a landfall in Aurora, south of Casiguran, for almost a week now with this storm. Almost a week. So it's pretty spot on. It's handling this, and it's a pretty good model. So yeah, it's interesting how it's changing. And one thing he also said was eventually it's going to be like ChatGPT with the AI models, in the sense that you can just type in, hey, what's the weather? And it's going to pop up an avatar, and the avatar is going to tell you the weather just like me. And I'm going to be out of a job. And I wasn't really happy to hear that. Yeah. Good question about the Google DeepMind, though. And that's just one of the AI weather models. There's other ones out there. It's just one of the only ones that are publicly available. I just moved the mic. That's what that was. Random thing says, do you play baseball too? I play softball with like a beer league on occasion. Watching from the north of the Arctic Circle in Alaska. Where are you at? Fairbanks? Is Fairbanks north of the Arctic Circle? Well, welcome, Robert. Thanks for tracking the tropics with us. Hope you're staying warm out there. Is Batangas going to be okay? Yeah, they're going to be fine. The storm's tracking south of them. There is a new update on Pegasa's website right now. I probably should check that and pull it up. Let's get the latest information from Pegasa, and then I might go to bed. It is, I don't even know what time it is. 1:30. That's okay. All right. Let's bounce over to, I got the adrenaline going. But I am noticing I'm starting to like lose track of my senses in a few spots here. Like I pull up the wrong. I'm not hitting as quite as good as it was. So here's the latest from Pagasa, showing that center line past Catanduanes. Look at the wind field, this damaging winds, though. It's really most of the Bicol region getting this. But look at the tropical storm strength winds, the extent of 39 kilometers. Not quite tropical, but the extent of 39 kilometers or higher. Absolutely massive. They do have it as a super typhoon. They do show it going down to a typhoon just after landfall and tracking over and then also weakening to that tropical storm status prior to coming on shore in Taiwan. There's the latest satellite imagery, and here's the latest. So southern areas of Isabella, Carino, Aurora, all under signal force 5. Let me zoom in on this. Ooh, okay, I want to zoom in on that. I don't want... What are you doing? What are you doing to me? Maybe if I hit open image in new tab. There we go. There we go. I figured it out. So there's the areas in purple under signal force 5, right? Yes. Areas in purple under signal force 5. So that tracks right there out towards Pangasinan. I wouldn't be surprised if it cascades. But look at like southern Isabela under signal force 4. Manila's still under 3. Good. I think that's probably where you're going to peak. Really, where these signal numbers are now, outside of probably Benguet and Pangasinan, signal force 5 is probably going to cascade over to the west coast there. Well, these are probably what you see is what you get. I think we're getting to that point where we're under 12 hours. What you see is what you get with this one right now. And yeah, so like Cebu, you're not going to get over signal force 1, okay? But yeah, that's important to note here. All right, so yeah, here's your center position in the vicinity of that. I'm not even going to try it. But 155. Now, this is interesting, though. It's at 155. I'm reading this. All right, so this is a 12-hour for. I was like, 155? Is that current? No, it's 12 hours. 155 as it passes over there. Then west of La Union in just 24 hours. So by 11 a.m. tomorrow, it's moving offshore, and then it heads off towards the north there. So yeah, interesting little graphic there. So that is the latest update from Pagasa. Just came out about 10 minutes ago. But make sure you check their streams because they're doing a long streams too that are posting a lot of stuff. Ooh, I got to give you guys a shout out. Gabrielle just became a tropical storm. Thank you, Gabrielle. And Just Lily Grace also became a tropical storm member. It's $2 a month, and thank you. You guys are heroes, and I truly appreciate it. One of our top fans is Kathleen on here. Tropic Shade, Bueller, Katie 35 Champ, Santiago, to Richard Hoskins. Top 5, top 6 fans there. Just reading the top of the screen there. So thank you guys so much. I always say you don't have to. And Cynthia just donated $2. Thank you, Cynthia. You don't have to donate. Truly. Brian also donated $5. How's the storm compared to Katrina? Ooh, good question. And I'm currently staying in Makati. First time experiencing this. Well, Brian, good news for you. Manila's not getting the core of the storm. Going to kind of get the fringes. Probably going to see tropical storm strength conditions where you are. If you're in a high-rise building, do me a favor. Because I only say that because Makati, I assume you're in a high-rise building. Put up your phone, take a time lapse over the course of like when it's starting to really pick up over the course of like 20 minutes, and then send that to the Westpac Weather Facebook page Messenger. I would like to see that. It's always good to like see those high rise time lapses. But how does this compare to Katrina? So right now it's about a 3-4. Katrina was a 3-4 when it came on shore. But the Katrina on the Gulf Coast has that storm surge threat. The good news for the east coast of Luzon, it's a very steep continental shelf, so you don't get those same kind of impacts that you do with the storm surge threat and so in those flood-prone areas. Kind of like what you've seen in Tacloban with Haiyan was closer to Katrina. Now, will Manila see, maybe like Rojas Boulevard right along the coast, could see a little bit of flooding there along Manila Bay, also over towards Cavite City, but you're not going to get like that. You're not getting a Katrina level surge or like a Haiyan level surge or anything like that. But hey, welcome to Manila, and I hope you enjoy it. As you said, this is your first time going through that. Paul Richard also just donated $10. Thank you so much. With such a massive storm system active over the Philippines, how are flights not being canceled out of Manila? It's a good question. I laugh, Paul, because the flights in and out of Manila are wild. Like, they will land in the craziest. Now, I do know small flights and like small planes, private planes and stuff like that. They like their rule is they're grounded in signal force 1 or higher. And I know that because I do some support for a charter out there, and like signal force 1, they're not allowed to fly. But some of those commercial airliners, they go. But I do like there's at least not a lot of flights in northern Luzon right now. It looks like a lot of people are on the ground. How do I know? Because I just pulled up flight radar. That's why. That's what I was doing when I was talking there. Right here. So there's your flights in and out of Manila. They're still taking off and landing. Look at this guy. Let's see. What are you up to? You're coming in from Caloocan, wherever that is. Indonesia, maybe? Oh, there is one flight. This is going in. You just took. Where are you going? You're going north, and it just says not available on it. A little 2-engine prop, Cebu Pacific. Okay, I'm coming back to that flight. That guy's getting his paycheck. I'm laughing because out of just like, that flight has got to be bumpy. Same with this person. Okay, now, this flight's going to Fukuoka, and I know what he's doing. He went out of Manila. They're probably going to run up along the west coast here, and they're just going to try to get ahead of the storm as quickly as possible. That 2-engine is a intercity hopper, though. So wherever that flight's going, okay, you do you. I'm going to leave that one up. Check out flightradar24.com if you want to track this flight with me. Maybe they're just bouncing over. No, they took out of Clark. I'm curious where they're going. Like where like you're not going to be landing in the Cagayan Valley right now. You're not, and it just says NA. Okay. Okay. If somebody knows where that flight's going, put it in the comments section. I want to know. That person, oof. Hold on to your butts, as Malcolm says from Jurassic Park. Paul Richard, it just donated $10. Thank you, sir. God bless. I'm laughing only because I'm awake for 24 hours. I am tired and I am still cruising on here. Brian just joined tropical storm status. Thank you so much, Brian. Truly, truly appreciate you. And then I noticed Paul just put on said I think I answered your question. Why are they still flying out of Manila? They still got that. All right, so let me see. I'm trying to read some more. The 2-prop plane. Yeah, I'm laughing about that. The plane is probably headed to Batanes. That's interesting. Somebody just said that. Gabrielle said the plane is probably headed to Batanes. That makes sense. But that's going to be a bumpy ride. They need to get out over the ocean off towards the west. If they're trying to go up the Cagayan Valley towards the north there, I don't want to be on that prop. I'd be like, turn that plane around. No. No. Why does JMA and GTWC still not upgrade the Pegasus? Said it's a Super Typhoon. So I think JTWC is looking at this being like a ragged eye on it, and I'm not surprised that they haven't upgraded it to a Super Typhoon. JMA does a 10-minute win skill and is always very conservative. Pegasa, it's making landfall in their country, and they might go to Super Typhoon. And also because, now, I'm not going to get inside the mind of a Pegasa forecaster. I can only say what I would have done. If I think it's borderline super, I'm going to go super. Dvorak says it's super, I'm going to go there. Because if I don't say it's super, the people hear Typhoon, and they're going to go, well, it's not a super, so I'm good. I'm not evacuating. No one from Pegasa will ever admit that. To me or to you. They will never admit that. But, you know, so that's why JMA and GWC, that it's just different standards, but also I think that has a lot to do with it. Clint just donated 50 pesos out of Baguio. Thank you very much for stopping them around. Itzy said help, they turned around. Hold on, I gotta go back to the flight radar. They did turn around. Hold on. They did turn around. They're coming in from they said nope. This 2-engine prop. Who gave the clearance for this thing to take off in the first place? Jesus. I'm not taking the Lord's name in vain here, but come on. Come on. Is this guy taking off too? It just says test. Good. I think somebody's messing with me. You better just be you better be just rolling around the tarmac there. It just turns around. That's hilarious. Well, they must have heard me. Somebody at the air traffic control must be watching this stream and said, hey, so the ginger weatherman is, I'm laughing so hard right now at the fact that they said, nope. Will F, the comment right there. He said, F this. Yeah. For real. I'm dying right now. That is just too... We have to laugh a little bit in the midst of just like a powerful typhoon like this. Who gave that plane clearance? A little 2-engine prop to go fly north. That pilot, though, he's got a pair. I'll tell you. Or she or he's got a pair. But air, like, I can only imagine Cebu Pacific had to have been like, hey, we gotta make our money. Scott says Pinoy style, let's try. I'm surprised no one's been like, it's more fun in the Philippines, right? Like, we can go for it. All right. Well, that was the most eventful thing of this stream so far. Reverse says, is the eyewall replacement happening right now? I don't think it actually is happening. I think what we're getting right now is not an eyewall replacement, and instead a just a general weakening of the storm here. I think that we're getting kind of, it's starting to get some friction, a little bit of shear. It is weakening a little bit. And now there might be a little bit of an eyewall replacement kind of mixed in there. But I think more so it's becoming a little bit more ragged as it nears landfall, which is great news. It's kind of got this just big fat oblonged eye. In fact, let me see. Let's refresh the microwave, because this is the best product to kind of look at the eye, or radar if you have it. Okay, we got a little radar coverage. It's always a crapshoot with the radar out here in the Philippines, but Diet One's it's kicking out the radar, and it's I don't really see an eye wall replacement cycle. You got a little bit of an outer eye wall right there. See that? And then the inner eye wall, but it's just kind of this big fat. I think I think it already went through one earlier, but it wasn't like your traditional eye wall replacement cycle. It was just kind of this messy vortice in the middle, and then it just kind of wrapped back up, and then there you have it, right? So I think it's going through something, but I don't believe it's a full-on eye wall replacement cycle. I think it's just kind of. And see right here, it's actually starting to weaken a little bit based on Dvorak analysis. That's what this red line, it peaked and now it's coming down. Now, weakening doesn't mean weak, so I kind of hate saying that out loud, only because I don't want anybody to say, well, Robert Speta says it's a weakening. Like, nah. I'm sorry. I forgot he even had this graphic up. I was so curious that I wanted to check it. This guy said nope, and he's just going south. He's going to Manila now or something. Then you got this flight coming in from Cebu to Clark. They're landing right there. They came out of Cebu. And then you got another flight going off towards the north from Manila to God knows wherever they're headed. Same with this one. That one's going to Fukuoka out in Japan. Where's this guy going? Oh, Manila. Okay. But you see the big gap? Look at the big gap just towards the east. No one's flying out here except this another twin engine going to Del Carmen. I bet you that's a fun ride right there. Yeah, they're not, in the core of this storm, but, they're still getting some of those outer rain bands doing their own little version of typhoon hunting, I suppose there. But this twin engine, it bounced. It said nope. They got sick of getting picked on, and they're just leaving. They're going south. And then you got a little Learjet leaving out of Manila, wherever they're headed too. It's interesting following these guys, by the way, just seeing what they do out here. Anyways, let's go back to answer some of your questions. Michael says the owner's following the chat and just fired the pilot. Storm chasers and the Cebu Airlines. That is interesting. All these flights that I'm seeing bouncing around currently in the air around this typhoon are all Cebu Pacific. I guess it's either the pilots are really good or the pilots are really bad. One or the other. Can't be both. The pilots are really good or they're really bad. All right. Maybe they just did a loop around. I don't know. No, that wasn't a loop. That pilot was going north, and they turned around and said nope. Like that plane was flying. If they weren't in a pattern at first. They definitely made a U-turn. Pagasa must pick the Z name Zoldi instead of Zoraida. That one definitely passed Yolanda. Was it a previous Zoraida? Is what you're saying? I think Cebu Pacific is doing their own surveys out there. There's a possibility the storm will track more south. So I've answered this question a few times, and we're 2 hours into stream, of course, I'm going to. And you can see the track that's on the screen right now. This is from JMA, and I think this is pretty spot on. Let's zoom it in a little bit more with this, and let's go out 2 days. And I think this is pretty spot on what we got right now with it tracking across, basically making landfall right near Belair and then kind of moving out and exiting just around Pangasinan, just south of the mountains there. Manila's not going to get the core of this storm. I know my last live stream I mentioned it could, and there was like that slim chance it could shift a little south, but that's not happening. It's going to be places like Clark and Angeles could be hit a little bit closer, but it's not going to make it. We're at crunch time now, and it's basically, it's not going to go south. It's on that projection, kind of moving towards the west northwest at this point, and I'll get some mad cake on my face. Now, could it wobble a little bit? Maybe it might shake and bring Belair more closer to the center versus it being in the kind of the southern, and bring, Galbaldon or kind of closer to the center of the storm. But You know, but here's the problem. It has a big wind field. So even if the center crosses over Belair, still the NCR are still going to get some pretty good winds. Typhoon strength gust are possible out here, as well as, you know, some pretty heavy rainfall taking places in those spots too. So yeah, I know a lot of people want to pay attention that center line is going to change and everything, but like that. But yeah. Adel asks, is Zoom Earth and I guess Windy for that matter, are they good apps? Yeah, they're good apps. Just make sure you know how to use them. I suggest for anybody that uses these apps to do a little do a little research on how to do what the models are at first. They're great apps, but the problem with Windy and Zoom Earth is they're too good at looking good. That doesn't make any sense, but it does. They're very good at looking good in the sense that anybody can pick it up and give a professional style look. Somebody said News 5 uses Windy on air, but so does like Bob, who works out of his basement. You know, like it's like anybody can use Windy, and so just make sure you know what you're looking at. That's the key thing. By the way, Scott Tuason just became a Tropical Storm member here, and thank you, Scott. That's really kind of you. Truly, truly, truly. And that's $2 a month if anybody wants to. But hey, if you guys don't want to donate and you don't want to support Westpac Weather that way monetarily, that's fine. The donations are they go a long way in supporting the channel. I truly, truly appreciate it. But hit that subscribe button if you don't mind, just hitting it right now. That is, like everybody that's watching right now, if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. And if you have the notifications on when I put out videos, the newest information, like you'll get the notification. So you're not looking at a video from like a week ago about one of these storms. Luca says it's massive and I still hate it. Yeah, I agree, Luca. I want to go to bed. I am an American living in General Santos City, South Mindanao. Very windy today. Yeah, you know, the wind feels massive. Even out there in Mindanao, you've gotten some pretty rough weather coming from this. JMA might be true on the intensity right now. Yeah, maybe. Probably closer to Cat 3. This is not a Cat 5. Is Cavite going to be infected? Cavite City, probably tropical storm strength winds from Rien. I usually bump them with GDN because of you. I don't know what that means. But thanks. As long as Starbucks and Jollibee stay open, do you have like the Jollibee index? Like the United States has the Waffle House index. Like if Jollibee's open, and if it's not an index, can we make it an index? Like is Jollibee open in your neighborhood? And if Jollibee closes, does that mean like it's about to hit the fan? Hey, Miss K just became a tropical storm. Thank you very much, Miss K. Truly appreciate it. Thank you. Just jumped on and just became a tropical storm member. So does Scott Tuason there. I think I already mentioned you. Possible winds in Rizal. You probably severe tropical storm. I'm not going to give you exact. Just prepare for like enough to knock and tip things over, but not damaging. Neighbor's daughter brought red horse on a motorbike, t-shirt, sandals, shorts, no helmet. In Cavite. That's classic Philippines, but that's in Cavite. You know, you're not getting the worst of it right now. But it is going to pick up soon. So tell her to put on a helmet, I guess, if it gets typhoon conditions. But seriously, when the winds do start to pick up in some of those areas, I'm not worried about somebody blowing away on their moped. I'm more worried about them driving along and like a coconut falls or a metal roofing flies off and then you get hurt. And that is the problem. JMA is overall much better than Windy, Mark says. But here's the problem. Windy is not a model, and it is not a forecast. Windy is an app. And in fact, a lot of the times on Windy, JMA is on there. JMA is one of the options you have. Just like this graphic right here I have from Metro Weather's Weatherscape. That is a option on Windy. So it's apples to oranges saying that JMA is better than Windy or vice versa. But JMA is the official agency of the Western Pacific. Not of the Philippines, but of the Western Pacific, the WMO agency. So, yeah. Windy and Tagaytay right now, somebody says, as per Google DeepMind, Cat 3 at landfall. Yeah, still strong. And that's why I don't like saying, like, if it's not a super typhoon at landfall, I don't like saying it's weakening. Technically it is, but I don't want anybody to, you can breathe easier, but I don't want anybody to be like, well, going out on the moped with no helmet. Let's see. What is that flight doing? Somebody says, I'm also interested in it. Where are they at? Where are they at? South of Angeles. If you're in Angeles, look up right now. They're cruising along. Let's bounce over to let's bounce over to this part of this. Yeah, they're still cruising along. Whatever they're up to, I don't know. Maybe they're evacing their planes. Well, no, this was the first one. There was another one that took off and turned around. Maybe they're doing, yeah, maybe somebody was right. This is the second one that took off and it did a loop. You know what they might be doing? I'm laughing at them here. That's why it's not available. They might be sortying. These little 2-engine props, they might be getting out of Dodge. What is this Learjet doing? Who in the celebrity is taking a Gulfstream G50 north into this? Same with this one. This guy's going to Osaka. This one coming out of Manila is not available. But they might be sortying. You know, I'm laughing and picking on them. But that might be what they're doing. Because I see 2 flights now that have taken this pretty much same route. This guy did a little bit shorter. He didn't go further north. But, you know, that they might be sortying, which is basically when you take a flight and you just kind of, you get out of the way. Now, this guy, on the other hand, they're making a beeline due north, which is they're going to Tokyo. Maybe they should go a little left. But, yeah, I think that's, now that I see 2 flights and what they're doing and it says not available, got the clues kind of coming together. I bet you these are empty flights sortying, which is basically they don't want these planes on the tarmac when the wind picks up. And so if the wind picks up to 100 kilometers per hour and the plane is on the tarmac and it's into the wind and the liftoff speed is 100 kilometers per hour, what's going to happen? Plane's gonna fly, so they might be moving them. That makes sense. If that is the case here, I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt and say that's the case. Good catch. Good follow up on that too. Can they operate and part of the storms reach operation levels? Okay, so yeah, but Will asked, can they operate in upper parts of the storms? Yeah, the big jets can. In fact, like 2 years ago, I did a story about a flight in the Atlantic. It was like an American Airlines flight that flew directly over the eye of a Cat 5 storm. It was out over the ocean, and it was just absolutely funny. But they were flying above the clouds, and they can. But these twin engines don't fly above the clouds. They probably go up to like 15,000 feet tops. They're not going to be up to 40, 50,000 feet. Desperately Seeking Susan says, are they chasing the storm? Yeah. What is the present real-time status of it? So I've been joking a lot here, but let's give an update on where it is right now. Passing northwest Dite is nearing landfall here in Aurora. Probably going to see landfall in Aurora. Let's actually pop over to the satellite here a little bit closer. And you can see where kind of the core of it is wrapping around. There's the inner eye wall, and it's kind of heading off into that direction, probably more so like this. So I think Belair is going to get kind of the low-level center passing right over them. That's where all the storm chasers are, so that makes sense. But then you just have a big banding here wrapping around. And even without landfall in some of these spots, and even the outer bands, they can still bring rough weather. This is from Ralph earlier today in Cat and Duanas, where they actually got a surge and some damaging winds from this. So just keep that in mind too. You know, there's going to be that kind of broad range of impact still coming in with this. So it is nearing landfall at this time. And I think at this point, it's not going to change much from what these signal force warnings are at this point here with Pagasa. Signal force 4 across a good swath there. Signal force 5 right closer to the coast. So Yeah. All right. Let me. Yeah, something like LVR says, most Super Typhoons have a near perfect eye. Why does this have a rough eye? Because I think Pegasa, I think that the Dvorak and Pegasa might be overestimating it just a little bit, which is okay to me. It warns people. But also, this is a very big storm. It's a little raggedy in the middle. It went through an eye wall replacement cycle. Now it's nearing the coast. So, yeah, it's kind of going in and out there. So, yeah, it's a big storm. I think we've passed that super typhoon kind of threshold on this one. Let me just read through a few of these other comments. Robert JMA just released a new bulletin. The track has changed. Let me see what you're talking about here. How much has it changed? Is it a lot? It's a big change? Probably not that big of a change. Yeah. They bring it onshore just south of Belair. That is interesting. So right when I said this is kind of locked in, JMA's like, nah. Now, Japan Meteorological Agency, Belair right in there, saying a landfall south of Belair, putting them in the right front quadrant, kind of crossing over Pampanga, compared to where Pegasa is saying a landfall up here. That's interesting. In fact, this is the latest track from Pegasa. Then you got JMA's latest track. Huh. They're edging a little bit further towards the west. The good news, I guess, is this is a big fat storm, so wherever the center line goes, everybody's still going to get kind of the typhoon impacts on it regardless. They must be thinking this is making that kind of a more westerly. I mean, if we watch the loop right now, it kind of is on a somewhat westerly track. You see that right in there in the last few frames. Could be coming on shore. I think it's gonna enter right around Belair. They're gonna be in the eye. It's gonna cross over northern San Jose and exit out of Pangasinan. And I still kind of stand by that. Just like that. But typhoon strength winds like that. So even a wobble is not going to change the forecast all too much at this point. I know that sounds scary when I say that, but it's not going to change the forecast all too much. Why Southern Bulacan not at signal force 4? Ask Pegasa. What would a hybrid storm look like? That's what we call a monsoonal gyre, actually. And this kind of has monsoonal gyre type looks where it's more or less just a big old blob. In La Union, it looks bad for us. Well, if this edges it any further towards the south, it actually won't be too bad for you. But I want to say that, though. I still think you're going to get some typhoon strength winds in parts of La Union. Let's see. Somebody that... whole of typhoon will experience typhoon period. No. Yes, in the sense of like, yeah, you're all getting rain, you're getting a little bit of wind, but where I have the lines here, that's where you're getting like the typhoon. A lot of people don't realize, and yeah, I'm sure you here in the Philippines realize it, but when we say typhoon, we're talking about like that inner core. We're not talking about the overall cloud cover. So, yeah. Will there be storms in December? Probably. Bright fan ask. Roy says, please weaken. Yeah. I do think it's weakening a little bit based on what I've seen. Not monsoonal dryer storm. Monsoonal gyre storm, Prince. It's fine. We're expanding heavy rain in San Rosa. Robert, is this still possible for Uwan to change it? I mean, we just talked about it. We just talked about it changing its track and edging a little bit towards the south. All right, guys. I've been through it a few times. I have to do a couple separate updates and recordings here separately, so I'm gonna do those here, and you'll probably see a video of me like not live here in a little bit, and then I might go to bed. I might go to bed. And I'm sorry. I'm tired, and I've had a long day, and yeah. I shouldn't say that because it's going to be long for a lot of you out here. It's going to be longer, but I've been talking straight for about 2.5 hours now. Coming off of my work shift, which is 9 hours long, and before I went to work, I was talking for 2 hours. So I think I'm going to squeeze this live stream for the 50,000 people, quite literally, who have watched it. 2,000 concurrent viewers right now, according to the people that are on here. So, yeah, thank you so much. I am going to shut this down. If you are out ahead of this, can't stress enough, now is the time to prep. And if you are already being impacted, I hope you are staying safe out there. That's the number one thing, is always stay safe, friends, okay? If you want to support the channel, check out our Patreon. Link is down below. You can also become a member here on YouTube. But please do me a solid if you are new to the channel, or if you've been around the channel for a while. I notice a lot of people aren't subscribed. If you've been around the channel for a while, just hit that subscribe button. It really goes a long way. And I'm going to if we get over 100,000 subscribers, which I hope we do, I will never say it again. I just want to make sure we get that verification. It helps out. It does help out with the algorithm and everything like that. So yeah, just please do hit that subscribe button. That's all I ask for, if you want to help me out. And the other thing I ask for is be safe. Help out your friends. A lot of people like to pray and all that stuff. I think that the faith goes so far. I saw videos ahead of Tino of people like on the beach praying the storm would go away. Don't do that. You can, but take that effort and help out your neighbor. Help out somebody that maybe they got a weaker home. Give them a place to stay. Do things that are physically going to assist people instead of just being like, I'll pray for you. Do things that help people directly. And that's what the whole point of having faith is, right? There's not a magical being in the sky that's going to be like, storm die, or storm miss my house. That's not how it works. That's not how meteorology works. But what will happen is you being your own magical, just kind of self, and helping your neighbor. So I say stay safe. If you've watched the 2.5 hours I've been talking here, you're informed, but maybe inform somebody that might be like, what? There's a storm? Inform them. Be the best person you can be, and that's what I ask. So I'm gonna and somebody says faith without work is dead. So yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna take off right now, and let's stay safe out there, okay, friends? Gonna be a busy day here, and I hope everybody gets through the storm. All right. Have a good day, and as always, thanks for watching. I'm gonna leave the lo-fi up for a little while longer, so here's a little music of lo-fi, whatever, just watching the storm and the latest graphics.